Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to my F1 2019 mod career mode, driving as Charles Leclerc in his Ferrari car here on the F1 2018 game with the 2019 mod installed with all the driver transfers and livery changes here for round number 5 at the Spanish Grand Prix, the start and the heart of the European season here. And so we've had 4 really enthralling races, the last one especially so if you did miss that one, round number 4, then be sure to go check the one out before you see this episode at Azerbaijan. The top 4 covered by 1 second on the last lap of the Grand Prix. I don't think we exactly going to get such a close race like that this time round, because the slipstream was very ridiculous at Baku, whereas the Circuit de Catalunya obviously very well known for dirty air and sometimes difficult to overtake. We'll see about that. It's also very 2x2 sometimes around this circuit, you know, the place where they go testing at the start of the season. But of course, with this thankfully with this 2019 mod, the cars are a little bit closer, or way closer than they are in real life, so the gap from Ferrari to Mercedes and even Red Bull isn't so large, so we should see some very close racing, and qualifying as ever is going to be very close. It has been for the first 4 episodes, and I imagine it will be for this one as we enter qualifying then on this one-shot qualifying, obviously the way we have to do it with the 2019 mod. And at the moment we're in P4, Hamilton with a bit of advantage, but you can see down the top left Vettel also popped up briefly there, so it looks like Vettel and Hamilton very close for pace in Sector 1. We're still down in P4. By the time we get to Sector 3, actually down to P5, so one of the Red Bull cars has maybe got the better of us, but as we swing through then the right and then the left and right for the last chicane, we do get back up into P3 maybe, and then initially lose a bit of traction then on the exit curb down to P4 and again P5. So a bit of a frustrating qualifying for me. We finished down on the 3rd row of the grid, having been beaten by at least one Red Bull car there. So that's a bit frustrating, especially after the last episode where I managed to get pole position. So quite a difference there. But this is how the starting grid then is ahead of the 2019 Azerbaijan Grand Prix here in this career mode. Lewis Hamilton on pole position alongside his rival Sebastian Vettel. Then a Valtteri Bottas in 3rd place, and Gasly again doing a stunning job in the Red Bull Honda here in P4. Myself P5, Verstappen next to me. Then you got Carlos Sainz and Raikkonen 7th and 8th. Then Hulkenberg and Lando Norris round out the top 10. Then it's a whole row of the Haas cars, followed by Daniel Ricciardo and Danica Fiat in the first of the Toro Rosso cars. Then comes Sergio Perez and Antonio Giovinazzi in the second Alfa Romeo Racing, Albon, Lance Stroll, and then rounding out the grid, no surprise, the 2 Williams on the back row to start the Spanish Grand Prix. So a little downbeat with our P5 position here for the race. Hopefully we can come back a little bit in the Grand Prix. I don't know if a setup change may have helped things against Vettel. It was maybe the case at China 2 episodes ago. Strategy-wise, there will be a 2-stop, but you can see there the default strategy actually uses all 3 compounds. There's super soft, the soft, and the medium tyre. I will be switching that to 2 sets of soft tyres, but I'm also a little bit worried that maybe the tyre wear might be a little bit too high, and that's a reason why the default uses a set of mediums. So we'll have to see about that, but if we can make that work with 2 sets of softs, we will be technically faster at the start of those stints both times then on both pit stops. So here we go then to 5 red lights for a bit of a recovery race maybe for us at the Spanish Grand Prix. Round number 5 of the 2019 season is underway, and it's an okay start for us, but a much better one there for Valtteri Bottas versus my teammate, especially on the right hand side, Sebastian Vettel bogging down. We're trying to get the better of Pierre Gasly into turn 1, maybe looking around the outside of him and also my teammate. Vettel goes very cautious into turn 1. On the exit of turn 2, it's the 2 Mercs that are side by side. Valtteri Bottas on the inside of his teammate Hamilton, and Gasly still got the better of me just about there. You can see him wiggling about, and I'm actually quite lucky not to have the front right of my front wing taken off there, so we can make a little bit of contact and get very argy-bargy here as we go through to the end of Sector 1 into Sector 2, down the hill on the inside. Gonna have to try and squeeze Gasly out, but he's got good traction there in that Red Bull, and actually the speed isn't too bad, so we need to try and do the job on the next corner up the hill. Then we're gonna have to squeeze him out now, and we'll finally get it done. As I look behind me, he's finally behind us in P5. We're up into P4, but at the moment it's then Valtteri Bottas that leads the way. He's done a stunning job there from 3rd place, remember, on the grid. He's up into P1, so not only did he out-traction Vettel, and then he got the better of Hamilton on a braking into turn 1 and managed to hold it on the inside, and Hamilton now is going to try and come back at his teammate in P2 with DRS open. Bottas yet to win a Grand Prix in this 2019 mod career so far. Unlike in real life, he hasn't had quite the speed, maybe hasn't had enough porridge so much so in the career mode so far. Maybe he's definitely had a lot this morning, because he's up in 1st place doing a stunning job. Behind me, I'm still being pressurized by Gasly. Behind Gasly then is Verstappen. Then you've got Carlos Sainz training the Alfa Romeo Racing and Renault car there, so that's the kind of top fight in the top 10 for the points. We're back to our POV on lap number 4. This is, we're in P4, but we're going to try and make it maybe P3, because we've got DRS. We're gaining on Vettel. He goes somewhat defensive, but we go to the outside, a little bit of contact and grazing of the front right tyre to his left rear. Unfortunately, just didn't have enough room and kind of confidence chance, to be honest, to make it around the outside, because he squeezed me quite awkwardly. It wasn't a full defensive move to the inside, but also at the same time, he did leave me some space there. At the same time, you saw the two Mercedes cars also fighting for P1 and 2, but Hamilton couldn't quite get the better of his teammate Bottas. So the two, guys doing defensive work so far are doing their job and earning their money so far in P1 and P3 respectively. And it's going to be quite tough actually, because the tyres are going to start going off quite quickly here at Catalonia. The super softs don't go very long, and so I'm going to start feeling them very, very quickly. And to that effect, we're going to come in eventually. You can see the tyre wear is pretty damn poor actually, a lot worse than we had at Azerbaijan. And Azerbaijan, I was definitely feeling it at some points in the Grand Prix. So definitely going to time to come in for our first pit stop, and hopefully we can get some sort of undercut potentially on the soft tyres, because Vettel stays out, and so we can try and maybe get a good outlap gone in. I think we've also got Hamilton that's come in as well. So both the cars chasing their teammates have come in for a pit stop. So we're both trying to do the same undercut strategy. Hamilton gets out, but we're held up by an absolute age then. The McLaren's gone by, the Renault's gone by, held up even more a little bit there. And so I think we've lost the position to Pierre Gasly, and we've lost a heap of time, because I was way ahead of Gasly actually by the time we came to the pit lane. I'd actually got a few seconds on him, and now we're behind him, sandwiched in between him and the McLaren car. And so that was like 3 cars that held us up essentially. So the worst timing really. I mean, that's more kind of just on the lap really. I didn't realise so many cars were going to come in, and the bad placement in the Ferrari pit box in the pit lane just made that so awkward, and so that's so unlucky for us. We're down now, the order effectively, we down in P5, because Gasly was in P5, we're now behind him. We've only just overtaken Verstappen there into turn 1. We overtake the Williams car, who's actually fighting for position. Fair play, Kubica, he's still out there on that set of soft tyres, but we only just about overtook Verstappen, so we really lost a heap of time. And now on the minimap there, Vettel's ahead by a few car lengths, and so now we're going to try and do some overtaking, and really way more overtaking than I thought was going to actually have to be done in this second stint now. On lap number 9, we're closing up to Gasly. We're also trying to flick around and save fuel as well. We have a little bit of a look and actually pressurize Gasly into a bad mistake there on the front right. He locks up Vettel up ahead, going on the outside of the Racing Point car there. So Vettel also getting in the mix of the 2 Racing Point cars, I think, are trying a one-stop, and that slows down Gasly in this domino train here of Albon and Lance Stroll. So we get ahead of the Frenchman just about, but Albon actually helps him out a little bit by boxing me in and not allowing me to accelerate off the corner. But we do eventually squeeze out Gasly, and so now we're tucked up behind the Toro Rosso car. Got to get past these 2 cars as quickly as we can. Albon a little bit slow off the corner, but I don't have too much room to work with. We're going to try around the outside, a little bit of grazing on the tyres on the left front there to his rear right, and we just about skate across the curb and chuck the car through, having to control it a little bit with a snap of oversteer and correction then on the steering wheel mid-corner as we put on the power up the hill, but we made it work. We're up into P8 now, and Lance Stroll's next. Up ahead you can see Vettel again getting his hands dirty, overtaking Sergio Perez then on the outside of the next turn. So both of us Ferrari cars being held up a little bit by traffic. That I guess is kind of bad timing in a way, but also you can see up ahead on the minimap, to be fair, the Mercedes cars are in clean air, so it's really just a case of we weren't close enough to the Mercs to kind of get out in this clean air. And so it's just the fact that we're so slow in the first stint that allowed us to be in this traffic. But obviously for me personally, I would have been right where Vettel was, if it had not been for that really slow pit stop. So I've come out even worse than Vettel has, having to overtake these Racing Point cars. And you can see Lance Stroll very quick in a straight line there with the Mercedes car, Mercedes engine in the back of their car. So we have to watch out for that, but we will have the traction and downforce, crucially, mid-corner. Here we go, nice and easy, round the outside, feather the throttle, and it's going to be a very, very nice move round the outside of turn 3 up into P7. And so now we're in a Racing Point sandwich as we now close up on Sergio Perez, and we've gone purple in the first sector actually. So you can see that's actually just how much tyre wear there was in the first sector. I made a move around the outside of the car there, and I still set a purple time, my best purple time in sector 1. So now we get traction on the left-hand side, down the inside of Sergio Perez. Gets very frosty there with the elbows out in the side pod there, but we make the move stick, and we're up into P6 now. So a good sequence of overtakes there, but ones that I didn't really want to make, but they had to be done. And now we've got clean air to chase after this man, Sebastian Vettel, who he himself now is making moves as we move later on into this Grand Prix sequence then in this stint number 2. And Vettel round the outside of Lewis Hamilton. He's caught up to second place, and he might just get it. Yes, he has. He's snaked through there. A little bit of a wobble on the rear end, but he controlled it, and he's up into P2 now. Hamilton a little bit slow, and Valtteri Bottas still dominating this Spanish Grand Prix ever since he got into the lead from lap number 1. Doing a great job there and going on probably for his first race victory of the season, it would seem like, because these guys are going hammer and tong. Hamilton back up on the outside into turn 1 and up into second place again. But these guys fighting this much is going to help me out. You can see I'm in the background there closing up, and again for a third time they go side by side. Really great racing here between Hamilton and Vettel there, and Vettel tries to get the switchback move, I guess, in turn 3. Doesn't work out, so Hamilton stays put in second place. It's still a 1-2 then for Merck, and 3-4 for Ferrari. We can see just in that one lap lap alone, that one sector, how much I've caught up to those two. And also at the same time, that's helping out this man Bottas, like I said, get away as well. So those two are just not doing themselves any favours, either going forward or backwards, look at me or Bottas. And so eventually Vettel and Hamilton will both come in, it seems like. Yeah, I think they've covered each other. I think Hamilton's covered Vettel off there. So now we go on lap 18 up into overtake mode. We're going to use hot lap energy on ERS and also the rich mix, the small amount of rich mix I have left on the fuel. I'm going to try and go for some really good in laps. We're going to try and go for 2 more laps to stretch these tyres to make sure we can go onto another set of soft tyres. Remember that strategy I said about being a little bit iffy on the tyres? Well, it looks like in this second stint I've done quite a good bit of tyre saving because I had enough tyre wear to actually set a purple lap time and go fastest of all on that lap, despite being right at the end of the stint. I will say though, my next lap was quite slow in comparison. I think it was about half a second slower, so I did go like faster and then I went slower after that. So I pretty much took the entirety of the life out of the tyres on that one lap, unfortunately. So I maybe should have started pushing 1 lap later, in theory, if you know what I mean. But I mean, that's just how it went. But in the end, still did enough job. But in the end, I still think I did a good enough job because Vettel, I think, got caught up, trying to fight Hamilton. And so as we get on to the pit lane exit, we go down the exit. You can see on the minimap there is the red dot, Sebastian Vettel, and he's way down the order. He's actually lost a heap of time on the few outlaps he had once he made his second pit stop. He's on the medium tyres, as is Hamilton, but compared to Hamilton, he's like nowhere compared to him. So I don't know, maybe the Ferrari car just doesn't respond very well to the mediums, and so to that effect, maybe it's quite a good thing that I'm on soft tyres. But I will say the caveat is, at the end of the stint, I will have a lot of tyre wear, just like I did in stint 2 of this race, and Vettel will have much fresher tyres. So those mediums might come into play back right at the end of the Grand Prix. And meanwhile, you see there a bit of traffic between the Alfa Romeo Racing and Red Bull cars, as some of them are still on kind of weird kind of contra strategies where they're kind of out of sync of the rest of the guys up here in the top flight. But as we move on then through this Grand Prix, Bottas still in a commanding first place. He's really looked untouchable there in first compared to Hamilton in second. Then myself being chased down by Vettel still and trying to keep me honest there. Behind them, then you got Verstappen actually, who's now got ahead of Gasly in the running order. So I don't know how that's actually happened because Verstappen was quite far behind Gasly, but now he's got ahead and got the better of his French teammate, who's had the better run so far in the career mode. And behind them, you've got the Alfa Romeo Racing car, the Renault, and then a very top close fight between the midfield cars of the Haas Racing Point and the other Renault of Ricciardo, who hasn't had the best time in this career mode season since the very first episode where you've got that crazy podium at Australia. Then you've got the likes of the McLarens, who are a little bit slow this weekend, kind of sandwiching Antonio Giovinazzi, then the Toro Rossos and the usual Williams just doing their testing, trying to improve their car any kind of little bit at the bottom end of the kind of race there, as it were. As we now move on back to our POV, and you can see on the top right, we're kind of in the closing stage of this race now, lap 28. You can see I'm saving ERS in sector 2 here. I've been doing that all race long pretty much. My strategy is to use most of my ERS in sector 1 on the main straight, where I have a poor exit usually compared to the AI anyway on the last corner. Try and counteract that with good ERS, deployment on the hot lap mode and overtake mode, and then trying to save that back in sectors 2. Of course, remember, this is not like my vanilla career mode where the cars are so good at ERS. The ERS really depletes quite quickly when you use overtake mode, so I have to be very sparing with it and very tactical with it. But that means we're a little bit slow off the corner on the last sector, and now lap 29, Vettel is coming like an absolute madman. Look at the speed he's got here. He must be running lower downforce than us because he's got DRS open and he's coming at a rate of knots. He was so far back, we just about defend against him there. So close to make some contact. Obviously, that would be the worst thing to do here, but I need to try and defend my position because this could be crucial to just limiting some damage to Hamilton in the championship per se. And so I'm going to try my best to keep on to this P3, but Vettel really wants it. He comes again, this time with even more speed on the left-hand side with DRS. He's fully got us there. We're going to try a little bit of a look to the inside because he's a bit slow to the apex, and he gives us some room and kind of goes a little bit slow on the exit of the corner, but in the end just can't do anything. So we have to sit behind him as close as we can. You can see on the right-hand side there, on the bottom, on the heads-up display, we're not got too much fuel to play around with. We're kind of negative on that, actually, so I have to watch out for that. But I've got some ERS to use, overtake mode, and DRS this time for me, and you can see actually how powerful it is. So it's kind of fair play enough how quickly he was able to gain on us previously, because DRS seems very, very powerful around Catalonia. So we get right back past him up into P3 this is, with 2 laps to go pretty much after this one included. And so let's see if we can hold on to this. He'll come again for sure, because you know, the DRS is right there. Going to try and break the toe again, and this time might be a bit more successful trying to break the toe on the right hand side with overtake mode. But actually look at that, Vettel comes and chases the slipstream and then pulls back out to the left again. We're going to make a big dive to defend, lock up on the right tire, go very deep into turn 1. No contact was made. I think Vettel took some avoiding action to stop hitting us, and so that's fair play from him, and I was very, very harsh on him, but you know, I tried to defend that as hard as I could, because I have to try and get this P3, try and stop Hamilton getting too many points on me, because it's so tight so far in the championship that it really might go down to the wire by the time we come to the end of the season. So all the points matter. And so again, for the last time maybe in this Grand Prix, we defend the inside of turn 1 there, just about keep it on the track on the exit around turns 2 into turn 3. And the last lap then, on the very last few corners, Valtteri Bottas will win the Spanish Grand Prix, his first win in the season. Hamilton makes it a 1-2 for Mercedes, and we come home just about in P3 ahead of Sebastian Vettel.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
A great win then for the Mercedes team today. So, Ant, how exactly did they set themselves apart from the pack today?
Well, I think the track conditions just really suited their car today. Wind, track temperature, you name it. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature. So the more easily you can keep them there, the better your race tends to go. And that's exactly what happened. Their car just looks so comfortable out there.
So as I say that, we can see the drivers coming out now to collect their trophies. It's yet more silverware to take back to their base in Brackley after another excellent Grand Prix.
So in the end, the Spanish Grand Prix is a bit of domination from Mercedes, really, there, with Valtteri Bottas looking super comfortable. I've got to say, I mean, even more so than Hamilton. I don't know how he did it, you know. First place, he got into it on lap 1 from P3 in the grid, remember. So stonking start and just never looked back, really. So fair play there. Gets his first win of the season there. 1-2 for Mercedes, and clearly we lost some pace coming from Azerbaijan to Spain. So hopefully we can try and claw some of that back at Monaco, perhaps, which is kind of been a Ferrari sort of circuit in the last few years. So we'll see about that. Red Bull looked a little bit strong initially at the start there with Gasly, but then fell off quite massively, and Verstappen was able to get the Frenchman, like I said, for P5. So very much like Noah's Ark, and like I said actually at the start of the episode, it ended like Noah's Ark with 2x2x2 there in the top 6. Then you've got Kimi Raikkonen doing a stellar job, best of the rest there in 7th place ahead of Hülkenberg, Magnussen, and Carlos Sainz just about hangs on to P10 to say McLaren looked like they're struggling quite a fair bit earlier on in the second stint of that race, actually, when we looked at the kind of pecking order. And so in the championship, it is only 1 point in it between myself and Lewis Hamilton at the top of the table there. And you can see we actually got the fast lap of the Grand Prix, you might have not seen and noticed there. So we got 16 points, and so that just brought us 1 point in it. Otherwise, there would have been probably 2 points between myself and Hamilton there. So, you know, every point could count in this championship. You just never know. And Vettel's not too far off there as well. Only 10 points behind myself, so it's quite close. But right now, it's myself and Hamilton really battling out for the top spot there. But Bottas finally kickstarts his season, I guess, and gets up into P4 ahead of the likes of the 2 Red Bull cars of Gasly, Magnussen, and Verstappen. Obviously, Magnussen in the Haas car doing a good job, but eventually round 5 finds himself a little bit lower down than he was in the opening few rounds. Constructors-wise, then, we still lead the way as Ferrari, but Mercedes have closed that gap up, definitely with that 1-2. Obviously, that's such a good haul of points for them, so it's closed down, but not too much. That's still quite a comfortable gap to have at this stage of the season, I reckon. Red Bull still kind of in no man's land in P3 then, with Haas leading the midfield, and they're kind of in no man's land, actually, as, to be honest, as well, in P4. After such a good, strong start, it doesn't really matter if they have a bit of a weaker few races now in the European portion of the season, because they've got so many points early on. Renault then get back ahead of McLaren, and Alfa Romeo Racing finally get off the mark properly, up into P7 now, ahead of Racing Point and Toro Rosso there, and Williams yet to score any points in this season. So guys, if you did enjoy this Spanish Grand Prix, then be sure to smash that like button, guys. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around, subscribe for weekly Formula 1 content. I've been aarava. Hope you enjoyed today. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.